Hi, welcome to part 2 of the talk. In the previous part, we talked about research examining universal moral foundations that can be differentially weighted by individuals or cultures. In this part of the talk, we review evidence suggesting innate moral senses. There's intriguing evidence that we have innate moral senses. At least in these domains, infants are sensitive to right versus wrong actions. Infants are sensitive to witnessing punishment, and infants are sensitive to good and bad intentions in others. To illustrate this, let me tell you about some research done with hand puppets shown to 8-month-old infants. Infants watch little plays put on by the hand puppets, and in one play we have the protagonist in the center, that's the yellow duckling here, who tries to open a plastic box, struggling to open the box. And in one little play, the panda bear on the left will come over and help open the box. So the panda exhibits this pro-social helping behavior. In another vignette, the raccoon on the right will come over and slam shut the box, exhibiting this antisocial hindering behavior. After witnessing these little plays, the infant is then presented with the two animals, that is the panda and the raccoon, and they can make a choice. The infant will reach out spontaneously and want one or the other. Which do you think it will be that the infants want? It is the pro-social, helpful character. Now, that's evidence that infants, even at 8 months old, can discriminate right and wrong and seem to prefer the pro-social behaviors. Now, what's especially clever is that after witnessing these behaviors, in this case, the panda is now the protagonist in a follow-up presentation. The panda has a ball, and it can roll the ball to one of the other two characters in the little play. On the left, the panda rolls the ball to the character on the left, and that character gives the ball back. If the panda rolls the ball to the character on the right, that character runs away with the ball, takes the ball away. Then afterwards, the infant is given a choice between the two characters. Which do you think the infant prefers? Yes, it's the pro-social character who gives the ball back. Now, the analogous thing is done with the raccoon. The raccoon also has a ball, rolls it to one of the other characters. The character on the left gives the ball back. The character on the right takes the ball away. Which of these will the infants prefer? The one who gives the ball back or the one who takes the ball away? It's not, in this case, the pro-social character. It's the one who takes the ball away. And why would that be? Well, because, and this is the suggestion, it's because this character is punishing the antisocial raccoon. In other words, this is the just punishment for the antisocial behavior of the raccoon. So just as a reminder, the infants prefer the pro-social, helpful characters, except in the case of the antisocial, hindering raccoon. So this is evidence, or at least it's suggestive of the idea that infants are sensitive to righteous punishment. Let me show you one more of these interesting suggestive studies. Here again we have 3 of these hand puppets participating in this event. The protagonist in the middle, on the left, attempts to open a box. the hand puppet, the other puppet attempts to help open the box. Now this is an attempt. You can see them struggling together to open the box, but alas, there is a failure to open. So then there's this epilogue in which the protagonist slumps to the side of the box and the good intended helper goes off to the back. Notice there's a good intention but a bad outcome. In a different event, the protagonist attempts to open the box. The other puppet attempts to hinder opening the box. It stands on top and forcibly pushes down on the lid. But there's a failure to hinder. That is, the protagonist successfully opens the box anyway. So the epilogue is that there's a bad intention but a good outcome. Now, the infant is presented with these two other puppets to choose from. Which one will they choose? The failed helper or the failed hinderer? And the answer is the 8-month-olds prefer the failed helper. Even though there was a bad outcome, the infants are sensitive to the good intention. So just as a quick recapitulation, this is suggestive that innate moral senses include a sense of the virtuous versus the transgressor, that is, prosocial versus antisocial. There's a sense that there should be punishment of a transgressor, and there's a sense of good and bad intentions in others. While I've just discussed suggestive evidence that moral senses may be universal and innate, nevertheless, culture shapes what is innate and universal. In particular, narratives are a cultural invention that are intertwined with moral emotions. Narratives are a superstimulus. We spend hours on narrative entertainment like movies and drama that could be spent in other productivity. Narratives create or justify moral interpretations of events. For now, I simply want to plant this idea in your minds, and in a few minutes, Fritz will tell you more about research we've been doing on narratives and how they shape and are shaped by moral interpretation. The Moral Perspectives Research Group has been supported by the Remak Seminar Award from the Indiana University Institute for Advanced Study. Henry Remak is pictured here with his typewriter. He is said to have refused to ever use email or a computer, preferring the typewriter. Henry Remak is also, he won many academic and professional awards, including the Sagamore of the Wabash, which is the state of Indiana's highest award given to a citizen. Henry Remak was a tremendously compassionate and caring man. In fact, in a biography written by Walton Collins, Collins says, "If there were a Henry Remak escutcheon, its motto might easily be, 'Don't give up on anyone.'" Here are some of the core members of our group. They include faculty, graduate students, and undergraduates from many different departments across campus, including cognitive science, the history and philosophy of science, the School of Law, the Department of Theater and Drama, the Department of Telecommunications, the School of Public and Environmental Affairs, Germanic Studies, and Psychological and Brain Sciences. Some of our group's activities included frequent group meetings. We hosted a number of visiting speakers, shown here, and they engaged audiences from across many different departments in the humanities, the social sciences, the natural sciences, and the professional schools across campus. And of course, we've also engaged in collaborative research. And it's that collaborative research that we'd like to focus on for the remainder of the talk. Please proceed now to part 3, in which we talk about research on punishment and morality. That's new research done by members of our group.